As a producer, should you use samples and loops in your beats? I'm about to give you that answer. All right, so let's hop right into it. Should you use samples and loops or no? The simple answer to that question is you do you. It's up to you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to list all the pros, I'm going to list all the cons, and then you make your decision based on that. So let's hop right into it. I want to start with the pros, though. So let's hop into the slide. Inspiration. So a good thing about using a sample or a loop is, especially if you have beat block or you're having trouble, you're like, man, I just don't know what to do for my next beat to make it something to stand out. A great sample or, from a record that's already out there, or whether it's like you're getting your sample from Splice or one of those types of platforms, it gives you inspiration, right? And you're like, ooh, that's fire, but let me do this and that, and and then you get those creative juices flowing. It's easy to flip. So in every digital audio workstation, every DAW out there, it's really easy to change the tempo. It's easy to change the pitch. It's easy to, speed up, slow down, whatever it is, right? It's very easy to flip it. And you can use VSTs. One of my favorites is Shaperbox, where you can change, you can add filters, you can add, phasers, effects, volume, all of those triggered by certain sounds in your sample. Like, there's really cool ways you can manipulate the sample that you have to make it yours. Chop it up. So what I love to do, especially with drum loops, is take little parts of it for transitions. So, you have a really cool, snare and tom roll, when you're going from one 8-bar to the next 8 bars, right? Something like that. You could just chop it into tiny little pieces and kind of make your own creation out of it, right? So it can really inspire creativity, like we talked about at the beginning, that way. Can replay, so you don't have to use the sample. You can just use the sample for inspiration and then replay it using a completely different instrument, and it may give it a completely different vibe. So, just use your ear, hear what notes it's playing, try it in a different instrument or something, and, maybe slow it down, speed it up, and you may come up with a whole other concept, but you've used that sample as a way to kind of kickstart your song or your beat. Organic. So, a lot of beats that I make, I'm really, you create something cool with your synths, your pads, or this, or bells, and this and that, and a lot of those instruments sound really good on any beat. But guitar, it's hard to get those to sound real using a VST or something like that. So if you want like an organic instrument like a guitar, or you want like a live cello, or any of that type of stuff in your beat, sometimes the only way you can get that in your song is by using a sample. Or otherwise, you'd have to hire a musician to actually play it, record it, and all of that. So it's a great way to get an organic sound into your creation, without all of the effort and money that it takes for to get a real musician on the project. Kind of a side note to that, something I've been doing lately is I use a platform called Fiverr with 2 R's, because I don't really, I play keys and that's it. So I've hired guitar players to play, can you play something similar to this or similar to that, or use these chords, like $5 a loop, right? It's there's no copyright to it. They give you all the copyrights. It's part of your creation. You own it outright. But you've hired a musician to record that for you. So that's also another option you can do besides using one from like Splice or something like that. Going up here, recognizable. So especially if you're using a work that everybody knows, right? Like, I've heard some dope remix. Shout out to JL Beats, who did a Ghostbusters remix that I heard one time that was crazy, right? It hits that nostalgia button. It takes you back in time to when you were a kid if you hear something like that. And it was like, ooh, they flipped that, right? That is a powerful tool to use in your tool belt. So, if you're looking for something recognizable that everybody knows, obviously sampling is the best way to do that. So those are the pros. Those are the great things about using loops and samples. Let's move on to the cons. Some things to look out for. Copyright strikes, right? So if you don't change the tempo, you don't change the pitch, you don't chop it, you don't manipulate your sample, you run the risk of getting a copyright strike from platforms like YouTube or any other social media platform. With YouTube specifically, I think it's 3 and you're out, right? If you have, and then you got to appeal it and do this and that to get your channel. They will shut down your channel if you have too many copyright strikes. So that's one risk. Another one is getting sued. Obviously, you know, if JL Beats released Ghostbusters on Spotify and it blows up and didn't get the clearing from, I don't know, Ray Parker Jr., or I know he's the singer of that one, but I don't know who actually owns the song. Might be a Quincy Jones thing. I don't know. Somebody tell me in the comments. You know, there may be a problem. They may come after him for all the revenue he's earned from that, right? And you can ruin your relationship that you could have had with those creators. And, you know, obviously nobody wants to go through a legal battle. Unoriginal. So some of the samples that you hear in Splice rise to the top because they're the best samples, and then all the producers grab it, and then your beats start sounding like everybody else's beats. Even if you flip it and chop it, like if you're using the same sample, everybody's like, oh yeah, so-and-so's beat had that in it, or this person had that in there. So you run the risk of just coming off as unoriginal, and in the world of music creation, originality and breaking through barriers is key. That's what every artist wants to do. So there's that risk. No growth. So if you become really good at putting loops together and that's all you do, it's like, oh, this loop goes great with this sample, I'm going to put them together, put everything in the same key at the same tempo, great. But you're denying yourself an opportunity to become not only a beat maker, but a musician. And if you want to rise to the top, if you want to become great, it's important that you grow. So you could get stuck in just doing that forever, right? Oh, I'm really good at putting samples together. But please do not deny yourself the opportunity to grow. Monetization. So it's a lot harder to monetize your work if you're using the same sample as another producer. There's a lot of software like Content ID software out there that recognizes, you know, particular samples, and they think that your beat is somebody else's beat, right? So obviously you won't be able to monetize that because they've got the Content ID first, right? And then finally, sync placements. So most TV and film treatments specifically ask for no samples, and if you haven't grown as a producer to create music without samples, you're going to deny yourself an entire industry and a whole other revenue stream just because, you know, you use samples all the time, right? So don't lose out on that market and don't deny yourself that. So those are just some of the pros and cons. I want to thank you for watching this video. If you liked it, you know, click the bell for more videos. Subscribe, click the like button, give me a thumbs up, all that good stuff. It just helps, you know, my channel grow, and then you can take advantage of all the new videos that are going to be coming out. But my last and final parting message for you is you do you, right? Knowing all the pros, knowing all the cons of using samples and loops, use them or not, it's up to you. But whatever you do, keep growing as a producer, keep creating, and keep pushing yourself to make each beat even better. So thank you for your time, and I'll see you in the next video.